Tonight we are joined with members of the CUW Esports team with the Super Smash Bros. Team of Gideon Kane, Angel Uriostegui, who is not with us tonight, Ryan Schrader, Nathaniel Quezada, and head coach Lewis Smith. First of all, thank you all for joining us today, and congratulations on a solid semester that you guys started. We'll open up with you guys finished the semester with a nice 6-3 record. You won 5 of your 6 final matches, starting with Southwest Minnesota State. When do you guys think that started to click for you all?
I think we had some scrimmages as a team, which were really our first experience, like having to play together, because our game is a lot of individual focus. So this was something that we were playing as a team. So we kind of had to learn some strategy on that stuff. So I think we actually got it together with the scrimmages, but then I don't think like we ever reached a point, like the whole season we were just building and building and building until the end, and we were still learning as we went.
I think we also, because there's a little bit of, how do I describe it? Some still teamwork in it though, because in between matches, we do have to like strategize and think about what we should do next too. And like, we were kind of skeptical at the start on what to do. Like, oh, this player's good. Let's send out our best player for that. But then as time went on, we were like, okay, this character can beat this character or has a better chance of it, and started strategizing more like that. And I think that around like the third game or like the third scrimmage, we started getting the idea of that too.
Yeah, big thing that we've seen with a lot of the teams that like are getting into their first semester of like actually competing in like real esports is first they approach the game just like they don't always approach it, like a lot more like casual, and they play like, you know, they're playing with their buddies how they've always done. But then they start to realize all like the true strategy and like the next level you have to kind of get to in order to really succeed in esports. So I think where we clicked, oddly enough, when we lost to MSOE, like that was so like humbling, because we like got this immediate success and we thought we were doing really well because, you know, in our own little bubble in Concordia, we were great. And then we had a couple matches that we won those, and we're like, oh my God, like we can take on anyone. And then we completely choke and lose to MSOE when we should have won. And then it was kind of like, all right, like let's not get ahead of ourselves. It kind of like reset our mindset to go to finish off the rest of the season.
Talking a little, you guys a little bit about it. How big is chemistry for you guys working together? I know for those who follow along and as you guys compete on Twitch, you guys seem to get along very well, and you are cracking jokes all throughout the competition. How key is chemistry to your success?
I say it is pretty high, honestly, because we do have to rely on each other a lot, because even though it is still a team sport, it's an individual like fights kind of thing. So if our chemistry isn't good and we can't like rely on each other enough, that's going to be something that breaks us apart, honestly, because let's say I do bad in a match and then just like Nathaniel just gets into me, just saying that I should have done better. It's like, I'm not going to be able to come back from that in the next match, I would say. So chemistry is like honestly a pretty big part, because we do have to support each other. It's like we get down, we have to bring each other back up.
Oh, come on. We all know it's Gideon that'd be getting into you. Let's be real.
Yeah, you're right.
But something, I know Nathaniel can attest to this too. Like the biggest thing that I think chemistry really helps our team with is these guys put in a lot of hours together, and it's very one-on-one. And the best way to get better is when you have a match, what we try to stress is you tell each other something they did well and something they did poorly. And if you don't have great chemistry or don't get along, you're going to take those critiques pretty hard, and it's not going to be an environment that you're going to want to keep putting time into and keep grinding. And like Nathaniel, he's probably the one I see in the arena the most. I actually think he permanently leaves his Nintendo Switch in the arena. So he's one that's put in a lot of hours in order to, you know, keep grinding and get better.
Well, you just touched upon putting in hours in. What does an average week look like for you guys when you guys are competing in Super Smash Bros?
So in our season, we did, it was pretty much a 3-day-a-week team practice. So what that would look like would be 2 days of the week we would have either a scrimmage or just all inter-squad practice, but we were still working as a unit. And then Friday we'd have a match, was typically how it would go. But I know, like me personally, I know the other guys too, we would all be playing on our own, which is one of the great things about esports is that you can practice your game on your own. So like maybe one or two of us would play against each other, or we'd just get in some practice matches online against random people. But it could vary. But as a minimum, it was probably about 8 hours a week, and that would change depending on how much extra time you were putting in on your own.
Nice. Well, add to that, Gideon. We have a few multi-sport athletes on this team, and there's some similarities where for you, Gideon, with track and field, where you're an individual competing for a team and helping score with track and field, and then with Super Smash Brothers, and we have soccer as well, where you do have a team aspect. What do you find is similar and different with competing in esports and then competing with some of your other sports you compete with here at CUW?
Yeah, I mean, kind of with what you alluded to there with like the individual nature on a team sport is really interesting with this one, because you are focused on the team success, but the biggest way you contribute to the team success is your own success. So a lot of it's on you. But with that being said, if you really want to improve and be better, you need to have a good environment around you that's going to push you. You got to have people who are expecting a high level of competition from you and that drive competition, because that's when you start to get better.
Nice. A thought I had when I was watching your Concordia St. Paul, do you guys ever scout like another team, like talking to you, coach? Do you ever watch their Twitches or anything and be like, oh, MSOE's Peach likes to do this or what have you?
Look at you! You know the lingo. You know what you're doing. Yeah, we do some VOD review. Just watching film like any other sport. We really stress that going into playoffs. We felt like this season, the best improvements we could have made were in ourselves, so we didn't watch too much film. But Concordia's one we studied for pretty extensively, just because we had a good connection with them and they could watch our videos, we could watch theirs. And then Central Michigan going into playoffs is something we studied. So the big thing in Super Smash Brothers is everyone has a specific character they play. And there's tons, over 100 options of them. So the first thing we do is just scout, okay, what characters can we expect? And that helps us, balance matchups, especially order in which we're going to play our characters. And then once we get past that, then it is kind of what you said, we look for tendencies, or even just what player is their best player? Who do we want to base our strategy around? So similar to traditional sports, watching film, putting that extra grind time in, watching film pays off a lot.
You kind of just fed into my next question. I was going to ask you all, what really goes into character selection? I know I played Super Smash Bros. Back in the day, and I had my key characters I went into, but is it more of a familiarity thing with you? Or do you kind of go with a matchup base where like, oh, MSO, we might be going with this, and this character matches up very well against this character?
We've actually had 2 character changes this season. So I used to be an Inkling, but then I changed to a Palutena. And Nathaniel used to be a Rob, and then he changed to a Daisy. The reason why I changed to an Inkling is because I felt like my Inkling got stale, meaning I just felt like I couldn't get much better with it. And I just needed something new so I could expand upon it more. And so I chose Palutena after that, because the main reason why is I just had a lot of fun playing Palutena. And for Noah, she's a good character. She's probably one of the better characters in the game, but it allowed me to expand my mind more about other character movements and stuff like that. And I went back to my Inkling another time just to see how I was playing, and felt like my Inkling was doing a lot better than before too. So personal preference for me for changing my character, it was just because I felt like I got stale.
Can you all talk a little bit about the importance of the order that you go into? Coach, I know you can speak a little bit on that.
Well, Gideon can speak to it better than I can.
Right.
I'm gonna let him run with this.
Yeah, so the way, at least in the league that we played, the only one, and I mean, it's usually how it goes for a crew battle, is you lock in your first person. And then from there, you can pick who goes in when. So especially in that first set, that's when you kind of are basing a lot of it off of like the scouting that we did. So we would send in someone like either would send in Ryan or Nathaniel, just because we liked their character matchup spread. So the two characters that they play have very good matchups across the board. So we didn't feel like we'd be putting them into a bad matchup without knowing who's coming. And then based off of what happened then, what character we had left to take out from the other team, we would kind of pick and choose based off of our matchup and our player strengths who we'd want to send in. So it would really change depending on the situation. And like if we had scouted and we know that a certain character is coming up down the road, we might save someone because we like that matchup later. So there's actually a lot that goes into it. There's not like a general rule of thumb that we follow. We kind of took it by a case basis. Besides our starter, we kind of kept that pretty similar.
Yeah, because there's, like I said, there's a wide variety of characters, but there are definitely a lot of occasions where one character has a drastic advantage on the other one. So it kind of goes into like, all right, these characters we want to be able to get an advantage of. We know if we're an exploitable matchup. And then there's also some characters that we kind of want to try to protect. We know that they can hard counter, so maybe we throw that out first when it's completely blind, where we know that they can't put someone into counter, or we try to even hold off and save it to the end and only use it if we have to, and try to get it in a more favorable situation.
Which is part of what's made Angel such a key player in the team, honestly, is the fact that of all of us, he's the person who best mains two different characters, those being Lucas and Byleth, and he pulls one out in different situations than the other.
Well, talking about two different situations, on October 9th, you guys took on MSOE and you lost 1-2 with a 12-10 victory, then lost 9-12 and then 10-12. 2 weeks later, you reversed the script on them and won 12-7, 12-4. What really was the difference there between those two matches?
I think we came in with a little too much confidence the first time. Not to say that confidence is bad, but I think we were expecting to kind of roll over them based off of how we had been playing before. And kind of like Coach said at the beginning, after that loss, we were incredibly more directed in what we were doing. Like we knew what we needed to do, and we did everything to get to that point. And like we took every single practice and every single game and found the ways to improve as much as possible. And I think that just put us above them the next time because we had just worked so hard to be in a better spot.
There's also, we also had a small issue with letting our emotions get the better of us, because we found ourselves when we lost this first match when we should have like won it. A lot of us were getting like really angry because we all knew that we could have played better, and because of that, we were playing not better but worse because we were just getting in our own heads too much. And right after that, right after the game, after we lost, that was like one of the first things we talked about too. It's like we can't let it, we can't get in our own heads, and we got to like stay calm about it. There's always another match, and we always have to get on to the next one.
Yeah, we fell victim to a couple early Popoffs, we call them, where you think you kill someone and then they're right on the edge of the screen and come back in. Also just getting frustrated a couple points where we saw our big lead kind of slip away. So that loss, I'd say the biggest thing is it really like refined our focus. It really hammered the point home that if you have a lead, you have to keep your foot on the gas pedal. There are a lot of great players in this league, and every team is capable of mounting a comeback, no matter how good you are or how good you expect them to be. So it really just, it was definitely a humbling experience, and then it just encouraged us to take every stock, every matchup, every even week of practice leading up to a matchup much more seriously.
So that led to a very key battle of the Concordias down the road, where Concordia St. Paul and Concordia Wisconsin battled. It was winner go home, and Concordia Wisconsin came out on top 12-4, 12-4. Gideon, you started off the match with 10 kills. I was just flabbergasted watching that. Can you guys just break down how you guys performed so well when the stakes were so high?
Kind of going back to what you said about team chemistry, a huge thing is momentum. and being able to feed off momentum of other people. And like the environment in the esports arena on that night, we were going kind of crazy when that was happening. Like it was electric. And we just kind of, I mean, I got hot and everyone in the room was getting really hyped, and it was just like a good environment. And we were just able to build off that. So we took advantage of the momentum, and we just kind of built an environment on that in that moment. And all of our practice had paid off. We had been working hard that week, and we made sure that we were in a good spot to get a big win, and it paid off.
Yeah, that matchup was extremely fun. And like Concordia, they've got a great program. I'm super pumped. Like our long-standing rivalry, we beat them in Smash, and then they beat us in a different esport a couple weeks ago. So it's there's a lot of back and forth. But that was actually probably the first matchup of our season where we really started shifting our focus into looking at film. So being able to see their 2 matches previous leading up to ours, we were able to know exactly who we're expecting to play, have an idea of the ordering, but even more importantly, know who their power players are. So we were able to send Gideon out there for set 1, knowing that he had a favorable matchup, or we liked him against their power players, so they really weren't able to counter him, and he was able to, like he said, get hot, keep the momentum, and then that energy just carried over right into the second set. And it wasn't in like a overly emotional way, because we learned that from when we lost at MSOE. So it's just more of like a hype, excitement, really like building confidence way.
So that victory then propelled you guys into the league playoffs, where you ran into a very good Central Michigan team and fell 12-8, 12-5. But what was it like being able to reach the playoffs here in the fall semester with Super Smash Bros?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. So it's kind of weird. I referenced a little earlier, with all of our teams, the first time they get into esports, sometimes it's like a shock, like, oh my God, this is completely different than how I played the game. So what I've always tried to stress with all our players is the first semester, your first league, it's really about learning about yourself. And our expectation is learning about the learning curve from casual play to highly competitive play. So I don't know if these guys remember, when we were headed to our first match, my big theme that I was trying to really push is like, this season is the most we're going to learn is about ourselves. We're going to really improve as our own. We're not worrying about really as much who's on the other side of the matchup. And it's a lot of team growth and really trying to, the biggest expectation is that we get better every single day, every single game. So it's never like, hey, let's do this well, let's do this well. So before our first match, I gave like the worst pregame speech ever, pretty much saying like, you guys are going to do great, like win or lose, we're going to learn about ourselves, we're going to bounce back, we're going to like, just pretty much like, it wasn't some like Braveheart, we're going into war, let's win. But then these guys got really hot, started off with a win, got another one, and we learned really quickly that we were actually really good. And that wasn't quite the expectation we had going in, but Central Michigan is an absolutely incredible program. Like the crazy thing about us finishing top 32 is, it's of all colleges in the nation, D3, D1, whatever. So it's a great finish, but the biggest feeling we had was that we should have done better. That was a really tough first draw. I'm pretty sure they finished in the top 8, so they're one of the best Smash programs in the nation. But for coming in with, I guess, no expectations based on placement, we exceeded where we would have expected to finish, and we feel like we should have done better. So it's going to end up propelling a huge spring semester for us.
And I think it makes future semesters look very promising, because I can tell you firsthand that every single one of us has improved incredibly this semester. And even though I got beaten horribly by some opponents that were certainly better than me, I never faced someone who I felt was insurmountable and isn't within my capability to eventually be better than if I continue to practice. So if we all continue on this path of improvement, then we'll only continue to do better.
Well, Coach, I don't know if you were somehow spying on my notes when I was writing up my notes for today. Maybe one of the two Goldens sold me out on it. But like you just brought up, you guys finished top 32 in the nation for this semester. What have you really seen from this group that really excites you moving forward?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I've noticed is just how much these guys love playing, and practice isn't a job, isn't a task. It's, we have scheduled times that they're in, grinding every minute, and then even outside of that, they're still working with each other, researching matchups, trying to play with each other. But the biggest thing that really excited me is right after our loss to Central Michigan, I remember I was commentating on the stream with Ryan. So we were like, trying to be upbeat and fun. And then we shut the stream off, and Angel was standing up over everyone. And I was like, okay. In my head, I was like, I wasn't sure how they were going to respond. And their first reaction was, what a year. We just went against one of the best teams in the nation, played them hard, and just everything that Angel said and these guys echoed were, I am now hungrier than ever to get better, to improve, and to place even higher next semester. So in a moment where I didn't know if they're going to be discouraged or not, and it ended up being the moment that I've seen them more motivated than ever, that's what really excites me for this next semester, next year, just our entire Smash program as a whole.
All right, my last question to you all. I know Gideon has an exam that he's about to ace here. So what are some of your goals for next semester moving forward?
Stop explosive flame. They know what I'm talking about. I use a move way too much and I shouldn't. I guess my personal goal is like, obviously it's like one thing to get better, but it's like another thing is like gameplay wise is like Gideon said before, I'm always a person that's leading usually in tournaments. I want to be able to like, for myself, because this is again somewhat of an individual sport, I want to be able to like get a grip on the characters that I'm playing against faster and start reading them better. Because if I'm able to, like, if I can get the first win right off the bat, or if anyone can get the first win right off the bat and gets like just counting up stocks, that's like really important to like continue the game. It gives us momentum right away and it puts us in a great a place to continue.
This is a bit of a personal thing, but as much as I believe in my own ability at this game, this entire semester I've struggled with some level of performance anxiety and choking in the moment because I start to doubt myself. I think that's a very personal thing that I will continue to work to iron out, and hopefully by the time next semester comes around, won't be nearly as much of an issue.
Yeah, I think for me, there were a few times where I would take less stocks than I lost. So I want to eliminate that entirely. Like, I don't want any instances where I don't do more work than I lose stocks. So I want a bigger kill death ratio. So, yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us. It's been really fun to watch you this semester. I've learned some new moves with you guys. Maybe if I'm allowed to have people over at the house during the Corona times, maybe I'll use them in Super Smash Bros. Later. But thank you all once again. For Jeremy Crawford and CUW Athletic Communications, thank you for watching this broadcast.